I can't even remember. I just remember Nick.
Now he's a lawyer and working on Capitol Hill. Here, Texas Capitol Hill. For the one Democrat in Texas.
You had CX, which you're
I did.
Yep.
pretty cool.
Probably been at Stony Point since almost as long as Katya's been alive.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm ready whenever you are.
So wait, George Mason is who?
George.
George Branch.
George Ranch.
That's me.
Who's George Mason? What is that?
That's a university.
Yeah.
Oh. Hold on, it's not loading. Come on.
Hot chickens. Yeah.
George Ranch is negative, right?
Get away. I literally don't
Yes.
care.
Anybody not ready?
I'm ready.
Part 1 is community, civil society system that is grounded in the notion of productivity is embedded in the way that industrial society positions itself as the type. Production, homogeneity, modern society is productive. Each element must be useful without being able to obtain valid money serves to measure or worth each no more than the function industrial organization producer distinguished from the owner of the means of production. The homogeneous part of society is made up of those who own the means of production, and this homogeneous society left from what the type calls transcendent violence, a violence that is used in order to place ourselves above the other and find ways to generate more surplus with the excess that is inevitably created within homogeneous systems. That's theory. Violence is difficult to understand violence. We distinguish immanent, transcendent violence. We can see violence, human violence, terms, animality, and testing metaphysical opposition between us and the animal in which we stand higher for ties being in touch with our own animality and being important. Transcendent violence is not animality nor sovereignty. Gives right to servitude, which itself includes itself in power of the violence. It gives a human superiority to transcendence, but I can see sovereignty in terms of immanent violence. The phenomenon of cyber is the only one of approaching immanent violence. The key to that kind of violence can be found in intimacy. Violence, intimacy, the realm of immanent, which I take to be the impersonal, incarnate, the ground of our existence, in which we are already interconnected with other living beings. And this transcendent violence is manifested in the restricted economy, where the drive for endless accumulation makes nuclear war and ecological destruction inevitable. That's Circle 7. Writings of a type of stress, expenditure, and spectacular transgression in social life organisms always produce more than they need for survival. With theories and ecological because they realize the limits are internal to the system and trying to function to expend product amounts of energy. Humans burn off not only the energy accumulated by other species, but their own energy, because humans themselves soon hit the limits to grow. That can be used in the energy population required for military expansion. Success can be attained by devoting large numbers of people in huge quantities to wealth and labor to useless activity. By the present, the huge amounts of wealth devoted to military armament worldwide can only lead to a nuclear holocaust. By viewing as a spender rather than as a conserver of time, energy, and invert the usual order of economics. Other dangers like global warming, deforestation, above all energy resources, oil, coal, and even uranium. And this restricted economy is one of the individual and productive side of capitalism, designates individuals' suicidal role and isolates them from outside forces, killing all value life and breeding results on a return to the immediate is the only way to break out of this cycle of commodification. That's Curtis 6. The restricted economy is productive side. The restricted economy of capitalism reduces people to their socioeconomic function and denies them the heterogeneity, the excessive waste matter, warriors, all people who refuse the rule under capitalism. It is possible for individuals to reproduce themselves as anything but isolated individuals in a society where intimacy is prohibited through the division of labor and ideology. Possessive individuals and Matthias seeks to understand the human need for violence, seeks ways and means to localize the ritual expression of violence and war, and development assistance is a way for country to build communities by facilitating cooperation, creating alliances, and reducing poverty. It's Apodaca 17. Development, poverty reduction are principal reasons for granting foreign assistance. They contribute to global security by tackling threats to human security such as human rights violations, disease, environmental degradation, peacemaking, and the growing gap between the rich and the poor. The aid helps build a safer, more peaceful, more secure world. Foreign aid is reflecting the priorities of the international community. Humanitarian concerns and world values were primary motivation. The allocation of multilateral foreign aid. Foreign aid is also used to maintain friendly relations with foreign governments. Foreign aid facilitates cooperation and builds strong alliances. First, aid can be used to maintain allies. Second, assistance may be granted to gain foreign allies. And third, aid can be used to win the hearts and minds of the population. Aid could reduce the likelihood of terrorist attacks by averting the cause of terrorism, namely helplessness and resentment. Many of the problems which affect us, such as war and conflict, international crime, refugee trade, and illegal drug use, spread of disease, are caused by or made worse with poverty in developing countries. Getting rid of poverty will make for a better world for everybody. Foreign aid is always in the service of foreign policy. Thus, I advocate that wealthy nations have an obligation to provide development assistance to other nations in the form of community building. And the community is the site of expenditure within our community. We rid ourselves of the notion of accumulation for our own selfish purposes and find a purpose in our new community. The community is a fluid structure of power, creating a brotherhood that does not conform to any specific political ideology, but rids ourselves of the fight for power. That's Noise 2K. But Tao was fascinated by brotherhood. But Tao's idea of community and the secret society is one of the exceptional political groups groups, all of which compete for possession of power. But I was interested in the transformation of all these. This was a secret society that was headless as headless deity, was not a symbol of the condensation of power. But I to develop this model of society of freedom that gives the fundamental antagonisms of life a constant explosive outlet. This involved criticizing democracy for its failure to form communities. But I looked to the secret society who released the energies condensed in the head, joined the society with a plural dispersion of power, a society of fluid exchange and willing loss rather than a society of accumulation and part two is framing. The role of the judge is to be a critical educator. We should focus on strategy of liberation and changes occur on the level of academia. That's your 13. The equality objective can echo the official teacher were choose to the role of functionary engaged in formless words will conservatively serving problems, hiding behind appeals to objectivity. Academics should combine the roles of critical educator and active decision within the product possibility and possibility. Pedagogy must be understood as a purposeful as opposed to one and zero reduction or instrumentalized work. Both pedagogy should also gain its momentum among students will produce critical ways of understanding the world, and the role of the ballot is to affirm strategies of expenditure fighting against the politics of capital and accumulation that simultaneously infected the debate space and our culture. To clarify, this doesn't mean we prefer methods that expend more, rather expenditure is a second trend in our methodologies. At the Hilliam and McCarthy 13. Transforming student work requires revolutionary disposition towards relation production, repression, conventional energy. So was an excellent question is extravagant schools accumulation, members separating student behavior, rubs the conventional explanations on productivity, kind pedagogy, understands ways to represent the blind spot, type pedagogy, should address the utility of current knowledge. It is at this intersection between work and non-work, we located revolution both the student working ways, and the state is not inherently bad. It can be used heuristically to resolve the emotional structures that make it bad. That's but type 2. Social homogeneity is precarious form of the mercy violence, connection, homogeneity, license, recourse to imperative elements which are capable of obliterating the various unruly forces or bringing them under the control of the state, not itself. One of these imperative elements is the Satan King's heads of armies as part of it is an intermediary formation between the homogeneous class and the sovereign agency from which it must borrow its obligatory character. But those who exercise of sovereignty must rely upon its intermediary, and construction of a law language compels speech or prevents new lines of thought. We must shatter and waste this accumulated form of violence as noise too. But taken as the law language, a new language is fashion can compel speech which should not oppose eruption to limitation as in our experience. This robs the regulating force of language and also disrupts the subject of that experience. And traditional modes of philosophical thought are restricted by the idea of impossibility and exchange in a communal system. The solitary ideas of single individuals can never explain the community as a whole and are doomed to failure. That's noise 3. Philosophy begins from the impossible. Possibility can never be removed from philosophy as an impediment that blocks the path of knowledge of possible function for philosophy. Analogously to the way it functions for communities, a real limit the refusal of philosophy to recognize impossibilities, a refusal to recognize community. Philosophy writes the work of many solitary individuals who resist the effects of community. Process.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so let's begin. What is community building?
Community building is something where we don't focus on the individual or any kind of wealthy nation. They don't focus on themselves, where rather they build alliances to.
So are you
build
giving
sort of
assistance?
community. Yeah,
So what does this assistance look like?
giving money to them.
Okay, so I'm still kind of confused how just giving money to a country can form
Sure, so
communities.
that's the Apodaca evidence. The development assistance has empirically been effective in creating alliances.
Great, so it's empirically been effective. So how much more assistance is necessary in order to form these communities and, like, I guess, affirm the tie, I suppose?
It's just a question of giving money to other people to deny the idea.
So yes,
of
how much money is
accumulation.
necessary?
A
What's the
constant
bright
amount of
line?
money.
Constant
Do you
amount
want
of
me to
money?
specify a certain amount of money?
I mean, I need to know in order to engage in the AF. So, like, what is the bright line necessary in order to ensure that we're meeting our framing? We're
Just
meeting your framing.
Keep giving money.
Keep giving money.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. Next, you say this. Let's start on like Curtis.
It needs to be like constant expenditure, or else we go back to that restricted economy.
Okay, so if the AF, in terms of giving aid, makes it worse, would that just be a form of
Makes
like?
what worse?
So like, if you make the developing country worse, wouldn't that just be a reason why the framing is
Well,
or the
one-
AF is wrong?
That comparative analysis is linked to a tie because that's trying to find the most effective world. Second, if you prove that we create transcendent violence, or we reaffirm this restricted economy, then sure, that would be.
What's a restricted economy?
A restricted economy is one that focuses on the individual. That's what the
How do you
Curtis
focus on the
evidence
individual?
talks about. By accumulating resources. We indicate in the status quo, countries and individuals are accumulating
Okay,
resources.
wealthy nations
So
give development assistance to other nations. That's the AF. How do you focus on individual nations?
we don't focus on individual nations. That's the
Okay,
point. The restricted economy is bad. We want to get out of the restricted economy. That currently, wealthy nations are focusing on individual accumulation. The Stokel evidence makes the comparative analysis to.
Oh wait, I thought we were
States.
giving assistance in the status quo. So how are we focusing on some sort of individualized notion of capital accumulation in context to the AF,
So, like,
or in
what
context to assistance?
Have to?
Yeah, because like I'm just like unsure
Okay,
what
so-
the AF does differently,
Sure,
specifically in terms of
So
meeting
it's a
your
question of the
training.
intention, right? The one is giving the money to the other country is an act of
So
trying to
the
give money to-
consequences
They're
of the-
in the status
do
quo,
the-
they're all forms of
Okay,
expenditure.
thank you.
Think
Do
of the
the
Marshall
do the
Plan.
consequences of the
But we're still
affirmative
not
matter
sure.
then?
What?
Do the consequences of the affirmative matter?
Not under the role of the ballot.
Okay, so it's just that, oh, we give aid, that is
Yep, it makes sense.
anti-capitalist.
Yep.
That makes no sense. We'll keep going. Next, you say the role of the judge is to be a critical educator. Why is the role of the judge to be a critical educator?
To fight against this idea of accumulation. If I have an
Okay,
accumulation,
explain a link
yeah.
between the debate space and the role of the, or critical education.
That's what I just said, that there's accumulation on individual levels everywhere within the distributed economy. That the role of judge is to be a critical educator to fight against that accumulation.
Sorry, crap. Orders 3K, 3 off in case.
How much love you have left?
3 minutes. Or 2:59.
Yeah.
Is everyone ready? Judges? Okay.
First off is a pick. September 11, 2001 march turning point Western Asia no longer altruistic, rather fueled by military motive. The only system Muslim countries seem to do guides to eliminate terrorism. Burger 6. Muslim country never received much attention. Even even Muslim countries by the U.S. for political reasons considered a joint military economic impact. 11 September 2001 called the renewed Western nations and marketization prosperity department of European and American foreign policy providing for protecting one's interests and charity replaced by security purposes from assistance changing people lazy. Motive change from altruistic to an ulterior motive. Muslim world is knows things perceived as a threat and anti-Muslim sentiment shapes U.S. foreign policy. Notions of Western superiority are a critical tool that jumps support for broader militarism in these places, yet they do so under the facade of development assistance. Kumar 13. Islamophobia is systemic. The Muslim enemy idea is built into U.S. foreign policy. The Trump and unable the U.S. media just stereotypes either crazy irrational people driven by Islamic violence, humanitarians with a long history, victims of all real big war II. Some defend the Western democratic rational civilization, are misogynistic, divided American combined with the clash of civilizations. It's horrific to the extent that which Muslim Americans have been dehumanized since 9/11 and this dehumanization of a foreign population establishes continuous cycles of violence. Collins 2. Language right in the most concrete and immediate way possible. Fall of political military leaders of violence, genocide, destruction of human communities, every act of political violence, linked language. People are likely to support violence if recipients are defined as terrorists. Thus, the counterplan text. Wealthy nations should not give development assistance to Muslim countries and abandon all intervention projects. I reserve the right to clarify CS. The counterplan is mutually exclusive. They defend whole resident. We pick out a Muslim country, the permit severance, and conflict could have been swiftly in Iraq or Libya. The negotiations with localities and when Western intervention destroy these discussions. Wall 16. Liberals oppose intervention because they dislike this motive, but they believe that Western military power could make the world a better place. They look at disaster. Obama described post-intervention Libya as Shisha and Richard as more war criminals whose own fatty militaries don't wash and emancipatory aspiration. Libya, Mohammed, and terrorism over their UK actions, coerced the nation by the terrorist network. Saddam Hussein had dismantled all being for the invasion brigades. When the U.S. stopped and opened political negotiations, the outcome would have been better. They believe they could pursue selfish policy, deceiving the public, launching the war with an illegal act of aggression. Better outcome was possible. Those in Downing Street in the White House were neither wise nor brave enough to pursue that option. And Muslim countries already shattered the notion that foreign intervention is necessary. The organic construction of these societies has already proven to be effective. Ryan 14. Tunisian shouted dog by citizens, the Arab will must extend to the retain status of Islamists for the authoritarian rulers, right Egyptian living the serious politician visit with different agendas come together to prove new constitution, avoid violence, Islam should be integrated into the political system, commands for rally with democratic rights, healthcare, free education, equality between sexes. Tunisian Democratic Republic was symbolic, with the Libya and Syria were internationalized. Tunisia's was gaining power, was still in the frame of the fundamentals of democratic forces were able to unite. Thus he rolled about as a mover the debater who best methodologically performed, provided the best liberation strategy for the press, and used the debate grounds as a site to formulate counter-hegemonic strategies and knowledge production. He played off as a challenge to the Islamophobic tendencies guiding U.S. federal policy. Violence has manifested itself in scholarship, combating that is necessary for condition breaking down in reality. 99. The political class of intellectuals construction of counter-hegemony and preventing prevailing discourse, educational activity, critical intellectuals can be politically engaged, play a role for critical international theory, intellectual norms, try to remain arrogant part of society, critical security for the voiceless, the powerless, the purpose of emancipation, opportunities for critical thinking, connect with social media, become a force for the direction of action. Second off is Katya. The end of global colonialism results in a paradigm Western countries development systems with the facade of helping them and only attracting more resources. Hickle 17. Western politicians love division to development theory. Western colonialism works by relying on collective and European colonialism, developing countries are going income, reducing poverty, new policy, companies no longer access to cheap level raw materials, markets which they become custom during the colonial era. Western powers are not willing to let this continue. Some regions never got a shot at development to them. Western intervention was so they simply would not tolerate development if it restricted the access to resources of the market. And displaying the world, third world is needy other. There must be safety development systems, promises of myth and prosperity, which obscures capital and perpetuates poverty. Turns case. Flurry 17. Capitalism falls, conflict, disasters, poverty, sense of human in crisis, some interest, ensuring fear for water, making for the privileged few, and back to the power of many, to fight HIV and AIDS, Africa, prayer, trade, deposit, abstain, for concession, and ordinances of appropriation for being associated with cyclical poverty, international experience of off-bound women for the first time economic property, and works are incorporated as laborers. You must enter the capital structure, the global self-regulating frame of economic deprivation, need of international interventional systems, the severe type of political framework through the idea of ethical consumption, freedom for the understanding of a system in images, situated global imagination, what needs look like, and how individual nature disposable income to help, and the play strength of neoliberal institutions and saps energy from growing radical movements. The impact of creeping authoritarianism promises global administration of planetary structure. Only the alternative politics to refusal to produce critical transformations. Europe 17. Any political gentleman's pedagogical and the political by playing analysis of everything these people politics and change seriously must be critical. Any policy that not include change causes structural change. Education and center politics can be used for progressive remain security and such strategies aimed at alternative progressive education apparatus making them critical and transform the world longer nuclear warring. So ecological extinction and accelerate Jew Christ and growing culture that shut church and violence. And the alternative refusing neoliberalism in favor of developing into a collective anti-capitalist pedagogy, only complete rejection of the possibility of becoming neoliberal slaves, cultivates revolutionary subjects capable of radical structural change. Slated 15. Education mechanism process cultivating subjects to be for demoralization, rethink education for neoliberal recovery, cultivating policy and refusal equally subjective body resist the impulse to act on critical, even instead share control and fear and transform into a dicey determination to think in a really radical way, erase the crisis and even as an element of capitalism, weighing that absurdity, cultivating position of refusal, which communities are for the real ability to break the laws of neoliberal recovery and create fusion, healthy, autonomous, and fundamentally anti-capitalist term. Third off is G. Eight's interpretation, the affirmative must defend that on balance development systems obligatory to declare for this means that the affirmative not specify a form of development system be a violation. You read a plan that specifies that community building the form of development system C standards one limits here in the case of the topical form that you can expect a type of development systems absurd. OECD 8. Hyman artificial monitoring rate legislation approval of surgery infrastructure training administrative weapon disposal minor civil police proportion music libraries art and music schools assisted refugee nuclear energy and research into tropical disease and development corps and 7 is just in context economic development doesn't even go to things like agriculture water and the departments instead of literally million different rules out there. You can defend all the applicant doesn't check with someone for any breach of the decide advocating impacts, any point, fairness, efficiency, and negative engineering, like the comments every single time this gives applicant, you should represent you know with the one single literally every single time almost means that I ain't never gonna be util debate which even if it's my best like to be a big point topic education there should every round be about the debate anything even the negative specific purpose assassinate receive reciprocity the interpret present next value for the proper change doesn't will have to just focus on just when that means that one is all get destroyed by one of your friends every debate says I've had at least 30 times more prep on a to make sure the reason for the journalistic alignment since both have to prep for all countries to sexuality be revolution the generic statement all call for that nothing specific time the development system means spec is about uncommon use of generic uncommon phrase is such a development system use that specification verb generic numbers are a type of and the most common for generalization the meaning use of non-count nouns and generic the most common uses like under article without a generic meaning impacts equal grab violating frames of 10 series debate to core from talking each other the worst case possible equal 15 everyone if it would be everyone debate to the resolution is ready for moving naturally abusive I don't choose their unpredictable adventure negative response strategy designed to avoid class well-being back when the second to clash of the way people are likely to attack on mistaken calculations and skip the next few arguments and TBS all that. You don't want to specify community building. You can specify the affirmative. It's so really the time frame again. Fairness, the voting issue is debate is competitive activity. Means you have to vote for the debater who is marginally fair or marginally fair. Also can be determined reasonability. Can be reasonability of question was reasonable for us to make an arbitrary. Also do parties argue as illogical in the T debate. Either you spec voting systems or you don't. And drop the debater on T because drop the debater's key to check back against abuse of affirmatives and plan flaw. Nation refers to a group of people with common identity, not a state structure, i.e. places like Kurdistan, GPF. Nation are large people with a bonded identity, magic community, tribal groups, creators, not necessarily enjoy a state of its own with a change of sort of culture, plan policy, voting exchange, when it's a possibility for them that the things to adjust for a vote for Paul's that can never actually exist for the education of real world applicability, be voting never subject to the plan doesn't do anything, so you can't avoid anything false claim.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm going to yes.
Okay, can you explain that plan flaw argument?
The plan for argument is nation does not refer to, in terms of how you were evaluating the resolution, nation does not refer to countries, rather it's specific to groups of people. So Kurdistan.
Why can't the 1AC still apply to that?
So the argument here is that insofar as you're giving development assistance, you say you're giving development assistance to other nations. So the issue here is that you haven't specified whether or not it's like an actual organized country or territory, or if
Okay,
it's
that's fine.
like it's a group of people like Kurdistan
Let's go to the
or
pit.
like Catalonia or something.
How is the 1AC a form of intervention?
So the argument here is that Western aid no longer functions off this premise of altruism, or that we should have some sort of generous notion to give to Muslim countries.
Can you
Rather, it's
contextualize
always
that
contested
in
between
the
military and
context?
economic
Can you
package.
contextualize that in the context of the 1AC's form of expenditure? How is giving money to a country a form of intervention?
So there's two things here. First, the 1AC does not acknowledge current military support and/or intervention within the like status quo. So insofar as we already have things like military support, even if they aren't developed.
Why does that military intervention exist?
Why does that exist?
Yeah.
That's probably through the affirmative would argue that it's a guise of Islamophobia or anti-Muslimism, because it's not even a
What
question.
caused that?
What caused that?
Yeah. Why is that Islamophobia?
I don't give a specific reason as to what caused that. However, the Jones 99 evidence is good on this issue insofar as we use the debate as
That's fine. What were the justifications for the roll of the ballot? Or were there any?
for the role of the ballot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that your framing analysis already automatically collapsed to our role of the ballot because we say we should.
No, but what were the justifications for your roll of the ballot?
For my role of the ballot? I mean, like, what do you mean by specific justifications?
Why did you
So
put your
the
roll of
Jones
ballot on
99 evidence is specific on this issue as to how we need to use a debate round to formulate counter-hegemonic strategies and knowledge production.
okay.
So the thing is,
What's the violation on T?
specifying a type of development assistance.
Where do I specify type of
Community building.
Isn't that intent? Like, when
What
you
does that
asked in cross-ex, I said you're giving money to these countries.
Okay.
Doesn't that meet your interpretation?
No.
Okay, then what is the interpretation?
It's on the dock, but the argument here is that you must, on balance, defend some sort of development assistance, i.e. all forms of development assistance. I guess that would also be another violation. I mean, we're specifically critiquing your use of community building, but even then, if you're just defending foreign money from these
Okay, does the
countries,
T link to
that
your
is
roll of
not
ballot?
sufficient to meet the inter.
Does the T link to your roll of ballot?
What do you mean by that?
Does the T function? How does the T function under your rule?
T is obviously separate from the substance debate, operates on a higher level and critiquing the
how is it
the
separate from the
app before
framing
it can
debate?
access the education. What?
How does it interact with the framing debate?
What do you mean?
I
just said
understand
T
substance.
operates on a higher layer. It doesn't meddle
And
with
where does
substance.
framework fall in?
What do you mean by framework?
The roll of ballots.
That would obviously, so it would be, see, I'm kind of confused with what you're asking here, but the thing is that T operates, it functions differently from substance.
Okay.
So I'm kind of confused on your question.
Why should the judges vote for the counterclaim?
Hmm?
Why should the judges vote for the counterclaim?
There's a couple of benefits. The first is anti-Muslim sentiment and/or foreign intervention causes continuous cycles of violence upon Muslims. So the counterclaim stops that. The second argument is that conflict or organic construction of Muslim countries could have happened if development assistance never existed, because specifically the Bryan 14 evidence is good on this issue and how it indicts development assistance policies. And the third is just the framing mechanism, i.e. challenging Islamophobic dormant epistemologies.
all need to resolve the links.
For the critique, the alternative is that, well, one, it would obviously be to reject development assistance. The second part of the alternative is that we need to use places like debate as strategies and or sites to form anti-capitalist pedagogy, and that would only come through the affirmative, or not the affirmative, the negative.
Start for 127.
Is there a new doc?
Yes.
Is there a new off?
The order's going to be AC, T, K-pick.
K-pick?
Yes.
We sent the doc.
I'm sorry. All right.
Give me this. Calendar.
Is anybody not ready? The role of judges being corporate legislatures, that's your role, liberation, scheme, activity, which is being cried by capitalist institutions, role of battles, vote on methodology of expenditure, rupture capitalism, that's Millennium McCarthy, refer because one, it breaks down the utility of education within debate, two, it's the only method to create a culture ways they never provide another sacrificial method, which means they don't link to the framing, and you sign your ballot now, and it's tried off the status quo is stuck in restricted economy, people reduce their productive value, killing all by life is curse, and the economy focus on accumulation, which is inevitably expended in ways such as nuclear war, structural violence at Stokel, and good community building is key to create alliances, and focus less on the individual, but rather on the international community. That's the Apodoc evidence, and creating communities necessary to break out the strict economy by switching the focus from individual accumulation to communal expenditure. That's noise, and they can see that's the only way to break out of the strict economy, meaning their case terms their case terms don't matter because it's try or die. On the one is the overview is sufficient because there wasn't any explicit, or rather, I'll answer the plaintiff's argument on the T arguments. So on T. The ACL wasting term theory, one is turn the only reason theory exists to make the human space something that is productive of education, roughly McCarthy evidence which indicates that this traditional modes of education based on learning information are based on a notion of accumulation that justify excluding arguments that we use unproductive. So we never restrict about issues that matter, which only is violent. Second theory is of actual language compel speech. Capitalist institutions compel knowledge of forces to speak and talk in certain ways to kill all resistant chance of movement. That's noisy can be cross-applied to plan text evidence because they're focusing on the law of language and role of the judge precludes theory. One of the science judge specific job theory is a way that it basically should be, but the role of the judge is specific to your obligation within this round, which is the only place you have complete power over. One decision won't change the entire community's norms. That's also a reason you should reject their role. About second, the role of the judge is a pre-field science to evaluating arguments regardless of theory. Often by when theories are linked to the case that prove the methodology is flawed. On a pre-field level, they should lose for reading confidentiality. Go to the voters of French education necessarily westernize they speak from a position of power trying to maintain it. Only poses here we able to deconstruct the app and understand what fairness education are, and that means both app and counter-interpretation. The affirmative is allowed to specify the intention of the act, but not the kind of development assistant. And second is I mean their interpretation that all I specify is the intention is that the reason we're doing this is community building. It's not a community building, it's a form of development assistance. The cross-section was very explicit saying, well, I just give money to these countries, they can choose to do whatever they want. It's the act of giving money that resolves the impacts of the critique for my standard. One, because of ground that we don't exclude any ground from this. We get any ground their interpretation claims to gain from this because they get any arguments because we are just giving money. You should vote on the reasons why them reading T is bad on the critique. Our obsession with utility to subsequent maintaining of access is the root cause of all forms of oppression. This is around 12. Economic growth is about power and control over as much as possible. Accumulation is a function of status. The possession of things is ownership will be wealth, and the status that goes with it, which thereby creates distinctions. So many are caught up in a race of capitalist entire property which has instituted modern slavery. People are treated as chattel and to be done with this please by those who believe people accumulation is a form of domination. We also prefer root cause, proximate cause, because if we don't solve the heart of the problem, we'll just regrade itself another matter. There's also a reason why I'm going to win the counterplan. Any defense or offense on the counterplan means you vote affirmative because they completely conceded the 1AC on the and also the F always in terms of decay. One is the root causes, the F is the root cause, the impacts of capitalism, the critique outline things such as war, ecological destruction, and also depression occur because people and countries engage in acts of accumulation of capital resources, etc. Capitalism creates the necessary conditions for accumulation. Second is the pop-up distheology. Can't solve capitalism, will always pop up back unless we solve the inherent condition of love for capitalism to rise in the first place. Politics of accumulation is the only reason why humans feel capitalist stress like greedy. When you resolve this issue because it breaks out of the trend of the accumulation and politics that drive capitalism towards the disavowing alternative and why the AC is going to resolve it better. Third, the impact analysis on the case of dueling. They indicate we have to solve capitalism because some sort of impact should be referred to another. This cost benefit analysis, active thinking that drives capitalism ethics like greedy utilities, unique reason for the method of the app on the counterplan process. And the third argument as to why they're trying to create utility by finding the best method. Also, the 1AC is the CP is a new link to the 1AC. Their attempt at finding the most productive method of development assistance is exactly what the 1AC predicts. I did an analysis above. Also, the app is not intervention. Just giving money is just giving money is not any sort of military intervention. Also, they tell me that I have to defend development assistance on the topicality show by just giving money. That's exactly what I'm doing.
3 minutes. What specifically about T leads me into the app and/or is a reason I should lose?
So first, if we can see the noise evidence at the bottom of the case, that there is a faction solved language, which also applies to the plan fall argument. The second argument is that theory only exists to make education productive, and that's the goal of ballot evidence.
So where does the noise 2K evidence indicate that theory is fascist?
That's the second to last piece of noise evidence at the bottom of 20C.
So construction of
Noise
law
2.
and language
Yeah.
compels speech.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, why is it counterplan new link into the app?
Because they're trying to find the most effective method of development assistance to resolve some sort of impact. It's the same argument I made on it.
The order is T, K, pick app.
G, we're not going to go for T, but he didn't read any argument, so the only offense he's coming off of T is this argument as to why T links into the affirmative. We'll answer this argument really quickly. First, we say that theory is a separate debate from the substance debate. So far as you say the Bataille framework is a good thing, we say the theory functions on an operant layer, like a separate layer, which means that it's no linkage to the app. Also on the noise evidence, he said that constructional law of language is really bad, or that T is a form of T is a form of capitalist accumulation. This argument is 100% silly. The noise evidence also doesn't specifically warn as to why theory debate specifically is fascist. Also, the T is a T. We're not going to go for the textuality arguments on T, so it means there's no linkage to these. There's no linkage to these arguments either. Next, he says that we're not next also on this noise evidence, because that's what he's going to go for in his next speech. We say that the construction of law and his sort of he said the construction of law is bad. But however, you can call for the evidence after the round. It never says that theory is fascist. However, just says the construction of law or a language system is fascist. However, insofar as we can't determine what a language system is in the first place, it means that this argument is really bad, and it's really bad, and also probably not good, because also that means that the affirmative can link into his own statement, own argument, because a language system, because he's not clear for what a language system means in the first place, which means that he's misconstruing his evidence. It doesn't actually apply to the one he's seeing. We're not going for textuality more, so there's no other reason as to why me reading things like limits or me reading things like ground arguments aren't a reason as to why the affirmative is the negative or the T arguments are linking to the affirmative. Also, you can see that there's a topical version of the affirmative which solves the entirety of the counter interp. Also means that it overcomes all the links out of T or theory is fascist, which means that it's game over, and it gets game over for the 1AC, because he's conceded a topical version of the affirmative means there's no offense coming off his interp. And there's no offense coming off his interp. Also, you can see no access to any of these arguments. Insofar there is a topical version of the affirmative, that means that it also doesn't matter in terms of linking back into this fascism argument, because you could just have defended the argument some sort of like topical version, and there wouldn't have been any reason as to why we would have been fascist. Next on the critique. First on the critique, he said that utility leads to some sort of oppression. That's in prayer 12 letters per hour. We're not going to go for anything but the post-field impacts of the K. We're going to go for the pre-field impacts or the pre-field implications of the critique. You can see the Flurry 17 evidence says that your representations of how you view the third world is necessarily bad. You prop up the sense of capitalism perpetuating poverty, because you say that developing nations should help underdeveloped nations. This like a system of how you frame and look at underdeveloped nations is what obscures what perpetuates capitalism. We're critiquing your process of how you even view assistance in the first place. See that assistance in general is bad. It's also a pre-fiat, where it's only a pre-fiat to the dissent to the affirmative. This is the arguments we're going to go for, which means that insofar as you should display these poor countries as someone that we need to help or someone that we need to relinquish from the capitalist system, it is a reason as to why you're going to lose in some sort of pre-fiat offense level. So even if you don't buy those arguments, we're not going to go for the alternative. We're just going to function as a pre-fiat dissent. We're going to go for the advocacy coming off the pig. So the only argument he makes is that counterpoint is a new link because we're trying to find the most productive method of development assistance. But our aim on this argument is not unique. He's trying to find the most productive method of development assistance, as well as far as defending some sort of community building. B point. The affirmative, the counterpoint is not doing. The counterpoint is simply saying that we should reject things like development assistance in Muslim countries. It's not a reason. That's why we're trying to find the most productive method of development assistance. Also, he hasn't articulated nor warranted what that means in the first place. Which means that he has the impacts coming off the pig comfort. So we'll extend this first. He said the Burger 67, which says that right now the status quo forms of assistance in these countries and intervention projects are just doomed to some sort of ulterior motive. It's a military economic aid package. He's not contested as to how he's not a military aid economic package. Rather, he's just saying that the counterplan is a new link. Insofar as that is true, you should definitely frame these arguments coming off the pig in form of how the only reason we give aid to these countries in the first place is in the form of a military economic aid package, which also links you back into your own framing analysis. Because you say that capitalism bad, or that we should promote some sort of international viewpoint, but insofar as these countries are only going to these these underdeveloped countries to propagate their own self-interest and to try to eliminate terrorism. That is an individual notion, which means that in Turner's case, you've also seen the Kumar 13 evidence says that anti-Muslim sentiment shapes you and force policy. Insofar as any foreign policy or any development system in these countries is only going to propagate a system of Islamophobia and anti-Muslim sentiment. That's another conceded argument. So you operate through this Fashada development system. We see in reality it is anti-Muslim sentiment that guides your policies. You've also conceded the Collins 2 evidence, which is damning because it says that the dehumanization of foreign population is actually continuous cycles of violence. I.e., we need to address how anti-Muslim sentiment and anti-Islamophobic tendencies that when they guide you towards our policy and the impacts on groups of people also outweighs the case. You haven't articulated a link between how you haven't articulated a clear impact analysis coming out of the affirmative. You just say we can establish community building insofar as you can. We see that the impacts of established continuous cycles of violence on Muslims outweigh for two reasons on probability, because they're happening right now in the status quo and time frame, because they are happening in the status quo. Next, he said the counterpoint says the willing nations should not give development aid to Muslim countries. A Muslim country and abandon all intervention projects. Even if abandon all intervention projects, that's the unique net benefit to the PIC, because you say we abandon all intervention projects and abandon abandon all intervention projects. Also, insofar as you never acknowledge that you still have intervention projects in these countries, means that you're doomed to failure. It's a continual cycle, and it's a cyclical cycle where you're always establishing the dominance of this country and an individualistic notion of how you view the world. Also, you can see that the Wall 16 when it says that Wall 16 and the Ryan 14 it says that conflict could have ended swiftly in Muslim countries. Or this terrorism could have ended swiftly if we didn't do development assistance in the first place. You all can see the Ryan 14 when it says that intervention leads to more forms of development assistance in these countries. We need game over the pick. The last one we're going to go for is this performative offense. That's how you do the affirmative. We can establish a counter hegemony or counter epistemology to the affirmative, which is key in order to challenge the capitalism. We can see that the arguments coming off the pick are always arguments coming off the affirmative. Capitalism is inevitable in a world where you never challenge, or Islamophobia is inevitable in a world where you never challenge the tendencies that guide this federal policy. It's very simple to me. Oh, also on plan flaw, he has conceded the entirety of the plan for, which means it's game over. All these are conceded the plan for, which means it's game over. You see that this is impossible to do the act because you can't debate an act that is nothing else. You can see that you should vote on Edward Sunshine because it doesn't do anything. Nation specifically refers to it doesn't refer to state structures, which means that as plan flaw for the act.
27. Are you going for the T insert?
No. We just no, I'm not going to.
Why are my representations for third world bad? What does the 1AC do that's complicit in this?
In terms of just providing development assistance, this notion that wealthy nations need to help these countries is what what feeds the link into the pre-fiat.
What about the 1AC? Because they say about how these developing nations are in need that we need to help.
In terms of flooding money, like the Flurry 17 evidence is specific to how development assistance in general is just used in order to obscure capitalist notions as to why we go into these countries. Also, just framing them as someone that we need to help is just uniquely bad.
Okay. AC overview. T. Plan flaw. K.
Okay, what?
K and then 2. Anybody not ready? The role of judges being critical here because academia is being affected by capitalism. That's your role. The role of the balance is a method of expenditure. That's key. 1, to rupture the idea of accumulation within education placement. 2, to create the culture of wasting money. Card 13. The fact that they conceded my role about is going to lose them this debate. And it's trying to die for the athletes. Quotes in the street economy where people are stripped off by except productivity, which kills value like that's Curtis. This productivity creates accumulation is heavily expended through war or violence. That's Stokel. And development assistance creates allows an opportunity to create alliances where countries have a vested interest in each other. That's the Abbott-Docky evidence and the community's key to switching focus to communal expenditure where accumulation is irrelevant to the point where they concede all of 1AC solvency. I'm going to win the root cause debate as well on topicality. Extend the argument that reading theory is trying The second argument is, or the no link argument is that they say our representation of the third world is bad, but that's not true. We did not give any representation of the app. This is specific to an app that talks about how